55 metres out on the boundary, goes for the big banana, and if you don't mind, go for the arrow. You deserve it, son.
David Muddy. He strikes it pure, and Fremantle calls a huge boil over against the Cats.
Who's at home for the Eagles? Big flight, courage from Ryan.
Hello, I'm Damien Barrett and welcome to Access All Areas, brought to you by Virgin Australia. Round 20 saw a strong response from the Power and a docker shocker from Geelong. And as I welcome Jimmy Bartel and Matthew Lloyd, are the Cats in trouble?
I think they are, Damo. You look at the other three teams who are around the mark of where Geelong are at, Eagles, Tigers and Lions, they are all flying. And Geelong are just treading water. They've been poor for 7 weeks now. And I just think they're too conservative with their ball movement. They're too safe. Yep. And these other three teams are just so dynamic at the moment.
So you're ruling them out from a premiership perspective?
I'd be shocked if they won the premiership this year, yeah.
No, pretty fair assessment, Lloydie, but I'm a little bit more optimistic. I know I used to wear my Cats jocks to bed and all that sort of stuff, but it's a good place to have your problems on top of the ladder for me.
I used to subscribe to that theory, Jimmy, until about 2 weeks ago. I'm with Lloydie in this camp. Now, let's go back to what happened on the weekend, on Saturday, against Fremantle. They were very lacklustre and was shown up.
Yeah, I think their first quarter, they started pretty well. They looked like they had a bit of that ball movement, exciting ball movement, quick, Lloydie, but then it's Freo. And I think we do have to tip our cap to Freo. Their manic pressure, the numbers stacked up would win you pretty much 9 out of 10 games anyway.
Yeah, Freo's challenge is to bring this. The week before, they were at Marvel against the Dogs, and they were very pathetic, actually, the Fremantle Dockers, and they play St Kilda at Marvel next week. So I want to see them bring that away from Perth, where they have 6 or 7 better goal side over there. And on Geelong, people talk about Cockatoo, pace. We haven't seen him all year. Give Narkle a go. Wasn't there, didn't get played. They need to just try and inject some pace and something else into that team.
Jimmy, every team is ultimately judged by its bottom 6 to 8 to 10. The Cats in that zone have fallen away. Can you take us through some of the names that started the year really well, but since the bye have had some difficulties? Yeah,
I was tasked with this, whether they've been improvement. Obviously, Tom Atkins, I think, is a pass. He's in there to apply forward pressure and tackling. I think he's doing that. Jordan Clark is a first-year player. I think he's actually improving. I've seen some highlights from him marking. Henry's been in and out of the side. College Asney, I expect a lot more now, and it's probably the level I hold him to. 88 games, you can contribute more. I think Myers has been working pretty well. Parfitt's been injured. O'Connor, again, is a bit like Jordan Clark. Radical has glimpses, but doesn't do enough yet for me. Rowan has been injured and out of form, and Reece Stanley's lost his spot. So that's why I've graded him like that. But they get exposed off the back of the senior players' form. I think, the big three didn't have a great game. They got well beaten by Freo's midfield, Fife, Hill and those sort of guys. So when they don't play well, there's always a knock-on effect, and that happens with all sides.
So, Jimmy, who would you put as number one ruckman against Todd Goldstein this week?
Well, it depends whether they value the centre bounce work. Zach Smith, for me, is a better centre bounce ruckman, but Reece Stanley provides them a bit of run and carry around the ground. Look, you've got to weigh up what do you value the most, and I think at the moment they're valuing the centre bounce work of Zach Smith.
It's real now, this Brisbane Lions surge. We're going back to 2002, the last time they had won 7 games in a row, the 7th yesterday coming against the Western Bulldogs. There might be some adversity to come in coming weeks, though, with Dane Zorko going down with a hamstring. Now, they're saying it's a lesser grade or a small problem with that part of the body, but there's no such thing as a small hamstring, is it?
No, and you don't want him to have a reoccurrence so close to the finals. If you get it right and you're willing to be patient the 3 weeks, well then you've still got enough time to get him rolling for the finals anyway. The worst thing they could do is rush him back thinking for the now, and then he blows it again.
Charlie Cameron's been great, and that game could have been taken away from them late in the cut piece. The Bulldogs were surging, but just the courage here to get the ball across to ultimately in the hands of Hipwood.
This sums them up, Damo. They are tough. They are a tough team, the Brisbane Lions. Some of Mitch Robinson's efforts were super, so they can do the tough thing, but their ball movement is as slick as you'll get. So they've just got all bases covered, in my opinion. They're dynamic, their ball movement's elite, they're a high-scoring team, but they're tough as well. So there's no secret to winning 7 in a row. It's just a process they just keep doing week after week after week, and they're getting the results.
Can win the flag?
Yeah, it certainly can.
Yep.
We've seen it from sides like them just get on a roll.
Yep. Bulldogs, a game and percentage out of the 8 with 3 games remaining. It's another wasted season.
Yeah, I think you get they always say, you get what you deserve in footy. And I think they've had fantastic wins and they've had really bad losses. So where they sit on the ladder, I think, is a real reflection of their season. But I've actually taken a lot of positives out as well. Their key key players are still super young. We know that premiership side was a very, very young premiership side, but going forward to next year, McRae, Bont, Dunkley, Hunter, JJ, Norton, Smith, they're all super young, and I think a lot of them still haven't hit their prime yet.
Okay. They linked to Alex Keith as well. I think their midfield is really good. It's just at the bookends, Norton's going to be a star. Where you settle him, I'm not so sure. But it's just getting those ends of the ground right, which I think hurts them from 1 week.
West Coast set up its big win, or good win, against Carlton yesterday early. They were so clean out of the middle with ball movement that just had Carlton unknowing in what to do.
Oh, surprise, surprise, the premiership side is pretty damn good, and they're 50 games on average more experienced than Carlton, and showed it. Look, Carlton were impressive, Lloydie, but this was just an experienced, hard-nosed, well-drilled and well-organised side that went to work.
Yeah, Yo went to Cripps after quarter time and he was just phenomenal. Elliot Yo, Shuey, Redden, Gaff, just seasoned performers.
I think they're actually a better side, a stronger side and a deeper side than they were as premiership winners last year. You go, Shepherd comes back in the side, leading mark taker in the game, Gaff of course, but the Rioli and Ryan have gone to
Oscar
a new level.
Allen as well.
Oscar Allen and Waterman across the forward line. I think Ryan and Rioli better. Sheed is playing super footy after he kicked one from the hot dog stand in the grand final. And Redden's a better player too.
Yeah, and the awareness of knowing that their best is the best. Ryan, you mentioned, his box trifecta now of marks in the last 2 seasons. He's only been playing 2 seasons. This one yesterday, in my mind, it's up there with Riewoldt and Brown. I don't think you two think it as highly, but to me, the courage to do what he did there is extraordinary.
Yeah, I don't have it. I have it a level down. Let's not take away from the mark. It was a phenomenal mark, and he has gone to another level as a footballer. So that's the scary thing for opposition teams. It's just how much some of those young players who were premiership stars last year have improved.
Collingwood got an easy kill. It needed an easy kill. There's probably some asterisks maybe going to be placed against some of the numbers to emerge from their win against the Gold Coast Suns, particularly with Adam Treloar's stunning game. He had 35 touches and went at an incredible 91% efficiency.
Yeah, massive confidence booster for a lot of players who have been a little bit out of touch. And Treloar, I guess his knock has been his ball use, but it was first class on the weekend. Look, they've had a lot of soldiers down. I think they're nearly relying on their coaching staff, Lloydie, to play. So this is big. I know. Look, you'll say it's Gold Coast, it's this time of year, but you sometimes need these to get everyone rolling.
Yeah, and they've got Melbourne this week too, so they can get another win and just put pressure on that, get that home final at 5th or 6th. But Hoskin Elliott went back to the forward line, Steele Sidebottom played in the forward line, so it was a different look. Mason Cox, before he got poked in the eye, was looking much, much better, so some positives for the Pies out of yesterday.
As Fremantle did, Port Adelaide responded to the week of adversity it had, and it was the inside 50 marks which set them up.
Yeah, you have a look at it though. Look at the amount of space they've got to kick it inside 50. You give any AFL player that amount of time, and look at this, a nightmare for Sard here, who had a bit of a sore hammy anyway, trying to defend Robbie Gray one-on-one inside 50. Look at this, the space coming inside 50. And it was off the back of Port Adelaide's turnovers at the other end of the ground. They scored 80 points off turnovers, and it was just Essendon's ball use actually ended up hurting and going back the other way.
Yeah, well done to Port Adelaide. They've been under siege during the week. They've come to a venue against Essendon where Essendon have done a number on them and belted them in previous years. And I think they would have planned for this. Hooker likes to lay off. Hartley likes to lay off. They planned beautifully, executed beautifully. And just on the Bombers, I think there's a tipping point here. I think obviously Mitch Brown had to ruck. McKernan pulled out. Just multiple injuries, coming, Parish concussion. So they did well to get 5 in a row. But that loss, in hindsight, was coming, I think the way they've been
So tipping point from even making the finals. They've got to win one of their
last 3. Yeah, they've got to win one of their last 3, and there's no gimme.
Western Bulldogs, Fremantle in Perth, and then last game Collingwood. So you still have a question mark on them?
I think they make it. I think they win one of them. But winning a final, that's the big question mark. I've got the way they're playing. The
third club that had a week of siege was Adelaide Crows, and they also got a win against the Saints. Again, I think there's some asterisks on the numbers that come out of it, but that man there, Eddie Betts, and also the captain or co-captain of the club, Taylor Walker, had a good game.
Yeah, Tex cops a lot of criticism, but you've got to tip your cap when he plays a good game. 4 goals, he presented really well and led really well the other night. And Gibbs played well, 29, 6 clearances, which was important because that's been the knock on Adelaide, the amount of numbers they spin through the midfield. They had him back in the side, Richard Douglas, so some experienced campaigners. And for me, Lloydie, they've got 8 spot and you've got to dislodge them.
Yeah, well, I think though they'll go out next weekend. I think Port play Sydney at home and they go and play the Eagles in Perth. So that's where I want to see how the Adelaide Crows play this week. Yeah, how they play against a quality side.
Luke Dunstan had an umpiring decision go against him in strange circumstances. Attempted to take advantage here of a free kick, but then stopped. And then, Jimmy, what did he do?
He just threw it. And the umpire goes, well, hang on, you can't do that in the rules of the game. Luke, this is your 100th game milestone, but I'm not letting you get away with just rugby passing it back to your teammate.
Yeah, I hope, though, Damo, there's consistency with that, because I see players take off all the time.
Yes.
And then that doesn't suit them, so they'll hand it back. Or a player has a shot, and then the umpire will say, "Oh, come back, take your shot." I just want to see it ruled like that all the time.
If you take a movement off the mark, so to speak, it's fine.
Yeah.
We want to see how you and your footy family come together for the love of the game. Head to afl.com.au/footyfamily for your chance to win the ultimate Toyota AFL Grand Final experience. That prize includes 6 Toyota AFL Grand Final tickets, flights and accommodation. Get online there. The Giants are one of the sides that could feature on Grand Final day, and there was a big moment late in the Sydney Derby on the weekend that might have gone their way.
Oh, look, I was pretty happy with the call. Obviously, I'm involved in the Giants. Of course, I'm happy with it. But you look where the umpire comes, bottom left of the screen, and the amount of numbers, real time. The umpire doesn't have the advantage of slow-mo and switched angles as well. I was pretty fine with it, Lloydie.
Oh, I'm fine with it too. I just think that you've got to give the defenders a chance. Otherwise, I don't think he did a lot wrong there. You get caught up, arms get tangled. I didn't think he yanked it down that hard. So I'm fine with that decision.
We're all in full voice there. I'm the same. I think it was the right decision to not make a call. The midfield, Jimmy, it's been crucial to how they've hung in there this year, the Giants. And Toby Green's gone in, Zach Williams also. And his numbers yesterday, 10 clearances against a total of 31 for the Swans.
Yeah, I think if you looked at the start of the year and a side challenging for the top 4 with no Cornelio, Kelly and Ward for fair chunks of the season, or all of it in Ward's case, would be still challenging. It's a big tip. Look, he's got the opportunity because a number of those players out, but what he offers, Lloydie, is a point of difference. He's got that speed, run, burst and carry away from the contest. When you pair him up there with either Taranto or a Hopper, he just works really well with that group.
They've been brave, haven't they? So they get their knocks, obviously, when they come to the MCG and they underperform, but it's been a great 3 weeks under duress for the Giants.
Tigers are flying, beat the second last place Melbourne, and post-match Damien Hardwick made some comments about, I'm paraphrasing, but Melbourne being a bit bruise-free in terms of how they set up initially. And you can just see this passage of play here where that indeed was the case. They made mistakes within this passage and yet were still able to have so much space to get the ball to a forward.
Yeah, I didn't take Damien Hardwick's comments as critically towards Melbourne, because we know what Melbourne are and what they build their game on. There's lots of numbers around the contest and they pride themselves on huge contested ball and trying to win that stat. So I sort of took that from Damien Hardwick, where he probably looked at him and thought they tried to open up the contest a lot more than expected.
Yeah, they were both fumbly in the first half. I think Damien was expecting a really contested sort of game, and it was an open game, which no one expected,
All right, time now for the Access Big Ask, and we'll start this one to both of you. Did Geelong's decision to travel early to Perth have any impact on the result?
No, but personally I wouldn't like to be away in Perth for 5 days myself.
No, and I would like to be in Perth in sunny weather.
Lloydie, does Port Adelaide ruckman Peter Adams keep his spot ahead of Scott Lycett?
Yeah, he does this week. Can't keep chopping and changing the team. He had 18 disposals, deserves another chance.
Jimmy, who's the better specky specialist, Liam Ryan or Hayden Crozier?
I'm going Liam Ryan because he's got the nickname Flying. So Hayden, come up with a good nickname, please. And for you, Damo, do you expect Gold Coast to receive a priority pick?
Yeah, I do. In my eyes, it's guaranteed. It's just a matter of where it falls, and there is a strong and concerted push to have it at the very pointy end of the draft. Lloydie, Richmond's 7 games in a row at the MCG to finish the season. Fair game or unfair advantage?
A little bit unfair, I would have thought. I think they're a gun team, but the draw could be set up better than that.
To both, is the top 8 decided with 3 rounds remaining?
No, nowhere near it.
Yep. And Jimmy, between football and the Ashes, have you had any sleep?
No, zero sleep.
All right, you still managed to find time though to bring something supposedly humorous to the back end of the Access.
Well, I find it funny, so most people won't. I think Braden Maynard has gone back to retro round. Remember that round we used to have? And he's actually dropped the old here to Alex Sexton. Scoreboard. Have a look at the scoreboard, and probably next week he might yell out "Chewy" on your boot. So, retro round for Braden Maynard for me.
Oldie but a goodie. And Lloydie?
And I spotted one. I spotted maybe the veterans list coming back, and maybe we've found a recruit that maybe the Lions could recruit. Look, what about the hands from the bar from this bloke? That is Stewie Lowlight.
And Gaz Senior loved it behind him too. Oh, look at Gaz Senior behind him.
That is magnificent.
Place for him.
Yeah, could possibly.
Lloydie, thank you, and Jimmy, thank you, and thank you for joining us on Access All Areas, brought to you by Virgin Australia. Have a good week, and we'll see you next Monday. Goodbye.